In order to perform migrations involving Microsoft SharePoint Online or OneDrive, you need to configure a connection. Connections in Fly are used for both sources and destinations. So whether you're going from SharePoint Online in one tenant to SharePoint Online in a different tenant, or migrating, say, from G Drive into OneDrive, setting up the connections is one of your first steps. To do that, we log into Fly, and over on the left, click on Connection Manager. In Connection Manager up at the top, you'll notice the various connections that are available. In this case, we're going to stay on SharePoint. Note, there is no separate tab for OneDrive. OneDrive connections are done on the SharePoint tab. There are 3 ways to add connections, starting by clicking Add. When I click Add, I can fill in a single site collection. You start by picking the app profile, which you would have previously configured in Fly underneath your migration settings, and then selecting a service account, which you would have also set up under migration settings. You then have to specify the exact site collection URL that you want to use as either your source or your destination. You can do that by typing or copying it from the browser window and pasting it in. If you either don't know the exact URL or don't have it opened up on, say, a different tab for easy access, instead of adding one URL at a time, you can go in and you can scan all of your available site collections, which is the second way to add them. So I'm going to click on Scan. When I click on Scan, you can see you have a choice between SharePoint Online and SharePoint On-Premises. It's going to collect information about site collections, group sites, and OneDrive. If all you're interested in, for instance, is OneDrive, uncheck the other 2. Below that, again, I have to pick the app profile that I previously set up and the service account that I previously configured. Scrolling down, we can now click Scan, and it will connect into that particular Office 365 tenant and then come back with a list of everything it finds. Once I see the list, if I plan on involving every single one of these site collections in my migration, I can click Select All, and then all the way down at the very bottom, we would click Add. If I'm not, though, interested in bringing in everything, we can scroll back up to the top and clear that, and then we can scroll through the list and pick and choose what we want. Things represented by a simple folder are going to be your basic site collections. Things represented by 3 little people are your group sites. And things represented by the OneDrive clouds are your OneDrives. So let's say I need these 3 for my migration. I check them off and click Add. And then they all individually appear here under my SharePoint connections. The third method for adding in SharePoint and OneDrive connections is called Scan Profile. A scan profile differs from a single scan in that you can put it on a schedule. If I click Scan Profile and then click Create, you can see it wants me to give it a name and an optional description. Below that, it looks just like we saw under Scan. I have to again pick the app profile and again pick the service account. Now down below that, instead of a big box where I can pick and choose between site collections and OneDrives and group sites, I can see I can set up a migration schedule. This is especially useful if, let's say over the next couple of weeks, while I'm planning out my migrations, I know new sites are going to be getting created. Instead of having to come back in here, run another scan, look for things that I haven't previously added, and then add them into the list, this schedule, if I run it, say, daily or even weekly, will capture all of those new additions, and then they will appear back out of my list of possible connections. So again, if you scan, you have to add things manually by checking them. If you run a scan profile, you put it on a schedule, and it will catch things and then add them for you. Whichever of the 3 methods you prefer, add by putting in a single URL and grabbing one site collection or OneDrive at a time. So again, you can add one site collection or OneDrive at a time. You can run a scan for all available sites and then pick and choose what you want. Or you can put a scan profile on a schedule to periodically check what's out there, capture it for you, and then add it to the list. Once you have all the connections you need, you can then go over to Migration and start a SharePoint migration in whatever form that you need. Thanks for watching this short video on adding SharePoint and OneDrive connections to Fly.